Hey, welcome to From the Baseline with Premier Basketball. I am Mark Williams, Premier Basketball Global Scout, and we appreciate you tuning in. This is episode 28, I believe, of From the Baseline, and another week recap of what's happened. We'll check in with Shane and Jason and just kind of what's all been going on. So, some news on the grassroots AAU side. Under Armour's picked up two teams. They picked up Arizona Elite, who previously was with Adidas when Arizona Select and Golden City merged to create Jason Kidd Select. That opened up a spot, and Arizona Elite, they picked up Arizona Elite to keep another team on the West Coast. Another team that they picked up was Germantown Lady Panthers, and they've been a really solid independent team for a while now, and steadily is put out high D1 prospects, and so that's a good pickup there for Under Armour. They're out of the DMV area up there. And so really that's kind of the news. It's kind of exciting to see all these events and everybody's planning for the spring and summer. And so we look forward to seeing everybody out on the trail. If you have any questions on Premier Basketball events, whether camps or tournaments, you can go to premierbasketballtournaments.com. And all the info on all of our events, NCAA, non-NCAA, the prime events, Foreverland series, all that is right there. So you can check that out. So, hey, top performers this week. And one of the biggest things as a student athlete is your signing day. And within the calendar, there's an early signing date, which is in November. And that typically gets all the hype and all the attention. But on Wednesday, it started the February signing a period. And, our top performers for this week are everybody who's signing during that February signing period. And there's kind of this stigma, oh, you didn't sign early, something. No, that's not it. Everybody has opportunities that come at different times. And everybody's recruitment is different. The important thing is that you signed a letter of intent, not when you signed it. You're going to get a free education. Your dreams are fulfilled. You're going to get to go play in college basketball that you spend all this time and money and travel and to have this moment. So celebrate it. And so our hats go off and we applaud and want to celebrate all those players who are signing during the February signing period. That's a huge achievement and something you should be very, very excited and thrilled about, because we're excited for you. So congratulations to all the athletes who are signing a letter of intent during the February signing period. So, hey, we're going to check in now with Shane Laflin, Basketball Soul, a blog, and check in to see what's happened with him this week.
Welcome back for another week. This week I am going to discuss a little bit of a dive I took into some of the top college teams currently, according to the AP poll, and then some of it being my opinion myself. And then talk about watching a lot of film, trying to keep up with a lot of these things, the high school teams as well, which we'll be updating via the ESPN Power Rankings here pretty soon. So the top four in the AP currently, and I think obviously this may change before it comes out again, I believe next Monday, because North Carolina State just beat Louisville. Louisville, South Carolina, UConn, NC State, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then my personal opinion, I still think Stanford's the best team in the country. Taking a look at some of their numbers, and I'm a huge PTI fan, so I'm not ashamed to take the yellow pad out and talk about some of the statistics. Just looking at some things that really stand out. Of the teams I listed, all of them average 80 or more points per game. All of them are about 50% assist ratio. So they assist on at least 50% of their field goals. 4 out of the 5 have a plus 10 rebounding margin. 4 out of the 5 shoot 35% or better from the 3. All are above 45% from the field as a whole. 4 out of the 5 are 70% or better from the free throw line. and I caught a stat. I couldn't find a long one, and I only looked for a few minutes. But over time, 30-year span, average NCAA champion on the men's side shot 71.9% from the free throw line. To put some of these numbers in perspective, UC Davis shoots the best from the free throw line in the country this year, 84%. The best three-point shooting team percentage-wise in the country is Fairfield at 44.9%. Baylor, okay, leads the country in assists per game, 23.4, which is 69% of their field goals are assisted. And then UConn leads the country in field goal percentage overall at 53%. Going back, talking Louisville, like I said, they're 51.4% of their field goals are assisted, and I bring that up only because I believe that, especially in the women's game, when the ball moves and you can score it, you put yourself in a position to win, no matter what the defense is throwing at you. 4 players from Louisville are in double figures, 47% field goals, 36.8% from the three, 79% free throw shooting team, which is absolutely fantastic. I think they are great in transition. They have talent depth. They have inside-outside balance, and they've shown to be very clutch in some close games recently after kind of taking that number 1 spot and seeing some close games. The question is, not a question. The thing I'm looking forward to is seeing how they regroup after they, had a tough one on Monday. But I think they have their sights set on winning a national title, and we'll see how they bounce back. Talking South Carolina, they are a plus 17, over 17, 17.7 in the rebounding margin. So they are winning the rebounding war triumphantly against their opponents. 45.6% from the field goal, 33% from the three, about 48% of their field goals are assisted. Free throws, 63.6%, which could come and bite them. I think we've had some examples in the past where people are coming into the tournament and people have brought up maybe a lower free throw shooting percentage, and they've been okay. That may be, something that is talked about on down the line once they get through the first few rounds, and we're talking the real elite matchups from Elite 8 on. They're another team, great in transition, and then talent depth is, you can't question it. And I would say they have the best post player, the best individual post player in the country in Aaliyah Boston. They have an answer for every matchup because they are so versatile. So if they've got to play small, they're good with that. If they've got to bring in some height against maybe a bigger opponent, they're able to do that as well because of the versatility of their players. It'll be interesting to me to watch them when they get into the tournament, having to execute in the half court against the teams that, by the end of the tournament, the Elite 8, the Final Four and on, they're going to be the defensive elite teams. They like I said, they like to get out in transition. They're winning the rebounding more. That can buy you a little bit of a cushion sometimes. I think ultimately still to win a championship, you've got to be able to play to your principles, and in this case is rebounding and transition for them. But you've got to be able to execute in the half court. UConn, plus 12 rebounding margin, scoring 87.1 points per game. 66.2% of their field goals are assisted on, which is not uncommon for Connecticut. 53% field goals, like we mentioned. 36.9 from the three, which is pretty decent. I think they're probably used to a little bit higher, as Gino's alluded to. Something that needs to be pointed out, Paige Beckers is shooting 58.3% from the three, which is ridiculous. And if I'm not mistaken, I didn't write this down, but I'm pretty sure she's 13 for 16 in her last 16 three-point shots. It's pretty outrageous. 4 players there, averaging double figures. UConn's always been good in transition. They're young, and I think they're still trying to establish on-court leadership as far as what their standard normally is. Undeniable talent, but again, it's young. The freshmen are beginning a chance. They've played a pretty young lineup. I think they started 3 freshmen the other day because Kristen Williams was out and with an ankle, and Aubrey Griffin, I think, was having back issues, but I can't confirm that. I forget what it was. they got a pretty balanced roster. The question's going to be, again, with them, execution in the half court, and then will they be able to become an actual elite defensive team playing against, again, the elite teams, not just running through conference or non-conference or their schedule, but once you get deep into the tournament, if indeed these teams do get deep into the tournament, because you're used to seeing them be a little bit more efficient executing in a half court. NC State, about a plus 10 rebounding margin, averaging 81.2 points per game. 53.7% of their field goals are assisted, which is fantastic. 48% from the field goal, or overall field goals, and 37% from the three. 73% about free throw shooting. I think they've proven to be ready to play these big games. Louisville, South Carolina, huge wins. They're unique in their pace where, they can execute in secondary, but they're pretty good in the half court, and I think they play a little bit slower than the teams we mentioned previously, but they can still get you in transition. So I think that helps them defensively and with their game plan and the rhythm of the game. They control, it seems, the rhythm of the game. I thought early on the other day against Louisville, they got going up and down a little bit, but once they created the lead, they became a little bit more deliberate, which will be a strength for them, I think, come tournament time. And then, they've got a great inside-out balance and a pretty traditional lineup. Guards, forwards, and a big. A lot of times right now we're seeing these hybrid forwards or a little bit of interchangeable pieces, switchable, but I think North Carolina State's got a pretty, what we would call a traditional lineup, and then Kunane in the post is really good. Mudd, a lot of credit for her coming off of being out a couple weeks for COVID protocols or whatever it was, to come back in and play and be ready to go against Louisville, which is, obviously no joke. Stanford, like I mentioned before, I still think, they had a tough week a couple weeks ago. I think we can all understand they had a pretty unique path, having been on the road for a couple months, staying in hotels, playing everything, no actual home games. So that was interesting. I still ultimately would lean towards Stanford right now if the tournament started today as the favorite. That's just my opinion. Scoring 80 points a game, 56.5% of their field goals are assisted, 47% from the field, 35% from the three, 72% from the free throw line. 4 players in double figures, almost 5. Cameron Brink's on that line. She's averaging about 10 and 7, if I'm not mistaken. They're deep enough. They almost have 2 5s. So depth and talent's not a problem. They can play multiple lineups. Again, go small, go big. Coach Vanderveer's experimented with some, changed some starting lineups. They had a couple people out for a little bit with contact tracing, if I'm not mistaken. A couple injuries here and there, little things. So they played some different lineups. I think ultimately they're heavily experienced at the guard spot, and Haley Jones is not bad. And then they've got a lot of big bodies, so I think their depth over time really helps. Kiana Williams, for her standard, has ridden a little bit of a shooting wave, but she's steady. She knows what Tara wants. You can tell that she trusts her. Ultimately, I think the key with Stanford is going to be the play of Fran Belibi and Cameron Brink, who's been really good off the bench and then into the starting lineup, had some, time where she was figuring out how to play without fouling. Like I said, she's averaging right about 10 and 7. Her free throws, 56% if I'm not mistaken. So that may be something that needs to improve. But she blocks a lot of shots. She's a matchup problem. She knocks down the three, spaces the floor for them, and allows Haley Jones and the holes to go to work. And again, I still am going to trust in Kiana Williams running the show late. So again, going into the tournament, if it were today, I think my favorite would be Stanford. Moving on to the high school teams, and I won't take such a deep dive. Obviously, these statistics are not as available and comparable. I think the best 4 teams, and I say 4 because it's hard for me to pick a fifth. I'll kind of name my candidates. Hopkins out of Minnesota, Westlake out of Georgia, Lake Highland out of Florida, and Montverde out of Florida, to me, are the best 4 teams that I've seen a handful of games with this year. I know some teams are just getting into things, so obviously this will be something we touch on again later. That fifth spot of teams that I've watched per also what their talent should be and a little bit of projection here. Side Creek, DeSoto, both out of Texas, and then Bishop McNamara, who I know started out by dropping a game, but they hadn't played a lot yet again, as compared to their opponent, and then turned around and played that opponent again and got the win. So I think it says a lot about a pretty young team, very talented. Again, depth there. We'll be waiting to see more of the schools in the Northeast and Jersey schools. I don't think New York has started yet. We'll be seeing more of that to kind of develop what those look like. I mean, Hopkins is getting after everybody. They guard. They're intense. They go 7 or 8 deep, D1. Westlake's going for 4 championships in a row. Raven Johnson and Snoop have played on all 4 of these teams. Coach Hilda Hankerson has them ready to go and aim for that 4th title. And this is what they do. They win. Lake Highland has played a really good schedule, won their heavy matchups, and had to be on a little bit of a pause, I think, due to some COVID precautions. And then Montverde is super talented, played a great schedule, and had some great wins. And, drop one to Lake Highland. So, you can't hold them back too much for dropping a game against a top 5 opponent as a top 5 team themselves. And then we'll let the rest play out. DeSoto, Side Creek, Bishop McNamara, we're going to keep watching them. The DMV is going to have a limited schedule. Fingers crossed DeSoto and Side Creek have a chance to play their schedules out to potentially even meet in a state championship type of situation here in Texas. So those are my things that I wanted to kind of point out this week. These are the things I think about and study when looking at the game. Going into next week, some questions I would ask people to think about kind of I think that people ask us about talent evaluation a lot. I would encourage you to think about how do you define the most talented player versus the best player. I think they're 2 different things. A lot goes on with social media and different things and who's doing what these days, but what exactly is media now when it comes to sports in general and where people get their information? And then something I want people to think about, because obviously we're in a platform and a position where we talk about the elites, but we also talk about every level of player. It just depends who our audience is or what coach we have on the phone or amongst each other, or who we're mentoring over the phone or Zoom or whatever. But I think that when people speak about players and teams and things now and don't use these just ridiculous superlatives all the time, people think that they're kind of a throwaway or that they're not as good. And that's not the case. I think that we need to be really careful using superlatives all the time. And not everybody's the GOAT, and that's so ridiculous. And not everybody's the best, because there's really only one best in any given talk, any given category. So you should not lose value because you're analyzing something or have an opinion about something if you're not willing to say it's the best. I talk to people all the time. Of course, rankings come up and things like that. It's really easy to tell, 25 people that they're top 10. You're top 10. But when you have to make that list, it's 10. So you have to be able to discern, have reasons why you make those decisions and things, and that leads to good conversation. It doesn't have to lead to the hatred sometimes or the trash talk or whatever. So anyway, topics for another day, something to think about. I'll come back. Thanks for sticking with me through the numbers. These are the things I take a look at before I watch games or even after college games. It's something people should be thinking about. As you play or develop, these are the trends of top 5 teams, top 10 teams in the country, and they are every year. High assist ratio, rebounding margin, good shots, and right now the winners can score. So it's just something to think about. Thanks for spending time with me, 15 minutes or so, and we'll see you guys next week.
Hey, welcome back. We appreciate that update there from Shane Laflin. Hey, we're going to start celebrating some commitments throughout the week, and going to just be a new segment of the show. Outside of the signing day, commitments are something to be celebrated. And so this week we saw Allie Camies. She committed to Rockhurst University. Trinity Cheatham also committed to Colgate University. Melanie Isbell committed to New Mexico State. Natalie Greenwood committed to Northern Arizona. Tilda Lidstrom from Sweden committed to Leonard Rhine University. Baylor Trum committed to Catamounts University as well. So congratulations all to them. Some more. Cameron Holcomb committed to North Greenville University. Nyla Jackson committed to Columbia College. Clara Garland plays with the Southern Stars, committed to Ole Miss. Cam Rhodes out of Arizona committed to Dayton. Ava Jones out of Kansas plays for Wheat State, committed to Arizona State. Jada Watkins committed to Huntington College. And Bear committed to Manhattan College. Neely Tilly Beddick committed to Southwestern Assemblies of God University. And Kamsey Woods. I said that wrong. It's not Kamsey. What in the world? Keza Woods committed to Xavier. I'm sorry if I messed up on the name. That is my fault. I apologize about that. But nevertheless, congratulations to all the commitments this week. Congrats on that opportunity, and your work's not done, but for sure nice to have that commitment there. And so congratulations to them all with their commitments. So hey, we're going to check in with Jason Key and his Shooting the J blog, and so enjoy this check-in.
Well, good morning, everybody, from my kitchen table. Once again, good week of basketball. Obviously, the late signing day was on Wednesday, and that was a big day. There was a lot across the country. We had quite a few here in both Dallas and Texas as a whole as well. But congratulations to everybody that was able to sign and get to play at the next level and all that. What an exciting opportunity and always a great time. For my player of the week, this would actually be my player of the year in the DFW area. Jazz Shavers, Mississippi State commit at Mesquite Horn, has carried the mantra of being in my opinion, the best, the top kid in the 21 class throughout her career here locally, here in Dallas, and has continued that this year. Had a great year. She's at a little over 25 points a game. I think they only have 3 or 4 losses, so they're at 22-4, somewhere around there. So they're having a really good year as a school. She's the clear leader of the team. She's had a great high school career. So shout out to Jazz Shavers on not only this week but her entire career. A lot of really good games, obviously, on the college level. Again, as we ramp through conference here, couple games I caught last night, they were really good. Of course, the Ohio State-Iowa game was phenomenal. Ohio State won 92-87. J.C. Sheldon for Ohio State with 29, and the freshman Caitlin Clark for Iowa with 30. Really good win for Ohio State. Really high-octane offense both ends, so fun to watch. A little bit of Wake and Syracuse, got to catch that. Shout out to Jules Spear, a local product who's having a great freshman year at Wake Forest. Having been really solid the entire season. So she's had a really good year. And then, man, Camila Cardoso at Syracuse, I love that kid. I call her the unicorn. I think she has the potential to be a number 1 type WNBA pick. When you talk this class, it's so loaded in 4 years. It'll be interesting. It's going to be, do you need a guard or a big? If somebody that has the number 1 pick needs a big, I could see Camila Cardoso being the number 1 pick. With all due respect to Caitlin and Paige and those but Camila's good. 16 and 13 last night. Multiple blocks. I think she had 5 blocks, and then she just causes so much havoc defensively. She's so big and so active. Shout out to Yo and Ole Miss. Big win over Kentucky. Shakira Austin with 21 and 12. They're really close. You can see that, to being competitive in probably the deepest league in the country. So really big win for them, and we'll see what the next game holds for them. as they get out the schneid a little bit and get it going. And the SEC's tough, man. Night over night, I watched Texas A&M, LSU. LSU's Texas A&M's earlier. They avenged their only loss of the year earlier in the year to LSU, and I mean it's just deep. Arkansas with a good game against Missouri, on and on and on it goes. Georgia with the overtime win over Alabama. So the SEC is really good. As far as this week, we will continue to move forward. We're getting ready to start the playoffs here in Texas, so that'll be interesting. And then we're getting towards the home stretch here in college basketball, and then for the guys like me involved in club ball. Looking forward to the spring season. It's coming upon us. We're starting to have some tryouts here and there, that kind of thing. Teams are starting to get set for the club season. So real exciting stuff coming on with Premier. Hope everybody has a good week.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for that check-in there from Jason Key and Shooting the J blog. Always value his input and what he's seeing out there. Hey, some global news this week. The European qualifiers for the European Championship this summer have been this week. And it's always a fun tournament and games, and they've been able to host them there in Europe during this pandemic, and did it more regionalized where countries could travel to certain countries. So hats off to FIBA figuring out how they can do that. They don't have any fans, but it's still great competition, and teams are vying and playing for qualifications for the European Championship. So the qualifying tournament's always interesting because teams, depending on availability of players due to injury or pro, or different things like that, there's always young prospects that they get a chance to be on the senior team and really kind of see what they're looking for in the next phase of their career as far as representing their countries. And a couple of notes there, players who've stuck out and got some time and done well is 2022 6'4" post out of Estonia, Annette Adler, has really done a good job. She's got when she's got minutes, she's done well, showed great footwork in the post, a face-up game, some pick and roll action. And so definitely, if you're looking for a post in the 2022 class, she's one to check out there from Estonia. There's other prospects up and down who are playing in Premier Basketball, global subscribers, international subscribers, access to a report that lets them know who it is and what year and class they are and stuff, and get evaluations on those players. So another note is you're getting a chance, and hopefully if you're following the WNBA and interested in the draft, there's a prospect out of Finland, a walk, that if you recruited internationally or watched international grassroots basketball, you know who a walk is. She's hard to miss when she walks in. She's 6'4", long, has been part of the Finland senior national team numerous times now, and she's really growing into her own. Many colleges were pursuing her to get her to come to their university, and she has decided to stay pro and stay and play in Europe. But she's definitely a WNBA pick. And my projection is, if I'm drafting and made a draft board, she's top 3 in this WNBA draft. And she got to match up yesterday against Belgium, and she went up against a WNBA player and more than held her own. 6'4", long, can shoot the 3, can put the ball on the floor, can score in the post, and she's just scratching her surface. And so she's a ton of potential. If she was on the men's side, she'd be a one and done, and we'd be talking potential top pick in the draft coming out of high school. So she's an interesting prospect. So if you're a WNBA fan, I would encourage you to go check out on YouTube, go to the FIBA YouTube channel and find Finland's European qualifiers, Finland versus Belgium, and check out a walk there, because I anticipate we'll be seeing her in the WNBA jersey sooner rather than later. So, but that's your update from the global side. And so, as we wrap up the show, Hey, congratulations once again to all the players who have signed this week in the February signing period. Congratulations to everybody who has made a commitment. Appreciate the check-ins, the updates from Shane and Jason. And so for Premier Basketball, I'm Mark Williams, and we're coming to you from the baseline.